Hey everybody, it's Emily, the Crazy Worm Lady. I'm here today with the VermiBag update. Once again, because I fed across the whole surface last week, there's really no action in front of our window. I turned this bin up actually before I even started this update because of some recent problems I've had in my bins. I was afraid of finding carnage in here. I can't believe after 2 years I finally had an instance where it appears like I've killed off some of my worms, and I'm quite upset about it. But I didn't want to bring you guys an update if there was any sort of carnage in here, but it appeared to be fine, and that's why I'm bringing you guys along. These castings are looking great, and if you remember, we had a very large feeding of blended food last week, and I'm not seeing any signs of food at all. But the worms look nice and healthy. It does look like there's less springtails, and I am pleased with that. And I believe it, excuse me, my throat is clogged up for some reason. I believe that it was Mary who asked me a question the other day about how I utilize diatomaceous earth in my bins. So I thought I would show that to you guys today. One of our corn cobs. Not really seeing any worms on it right now. Once they pick it clean, it just ends up being a staple in your bin for quite some time. But it seems to be fine in here. But what I thought is I'm going to add a feeding, and then I'm going to show you what I do with the diatomaceous earth. You can see there's some residual in here of diatomaceous earth. But how I use it, this is a piece of our pineapple. How I use it to try and reduce some of the number of pests that we see in our bin. So, let me grab a little something to feed these guys. And that will be our update for today. And I will add some diatomaceous earth and show you guys how that all works. But happy to say we've got lots of worm activity. They've gone through all the food and they look real healthy. So that's encouraging to me. So let me go grab something. I'll be right back. Alright guys, so I just moved all of this cardboard up here to the side. I laid down a bunch of newspaper, and I've got a few bags of food here. This one was just on my counter. It was not frozen first, but it's been sitting there a while. So I have that. Then, let me get this out of here without getting anything gross on my floor. I have a corn cob. And this is frozen. I forgot to thaw my food first. So that was another reason why it was important to lay down some bedding first to protect the worms while this defrosts. But this is some of their favorite. It's watermelon. So I'm just going to probably peel this sticker off, or I'll be picking it out of my castings later. I'm not sure I'm going to feed all of this. I'm going to see here how much of the surface this covers. But worms absolutely love watermelon. So all that sugar content gets those microbes working. So the worms get working faster too. So it's one of their favorites. All the sugary foods are, really. I don't know if I can break much more of this off. Let me see what I can get if I flip it over. I can get a mess. That's what I can get. Alright, let me get this out of here and I'll show you guys what I'm doing. So, when you're feeding these water-rich foods, make sure you spread them out, because as they decompose, they will release a ton of water, and you don't want to flood out your system. The good thing about the VermiBag is it's even more breathable than my urban worm bag, so I'm not too concerned with it. I really think the system can handle it. The castings are flaky, but they're definitely not wet, so I think they can absorb quite a bit. So I'm going to add some oyster shell in here. If I can get some out of my bag. Sprinkle this across the top. You always want to have the grit for the worms' gizzards so that they can break down our food. And then I'm just going to lay these pieces of cardboard here across the top. I don't completely cover this system. It zips up so well, and the watermelon should be fine. But regarding the diatomaceous earth, what I usually do is a lot of these bugs are attracted to the moist cardboard, and this will definitely get moist as these pieces of watermelon decompose. Diatomaceous earth does not work well when wet. However, it has a lot of trace mineral benefits to it. So if it does get wet and once it gets mixed into your bin, it's actually still a good thing to have. But it's just not something that can break the exoskeleton of these bugs. So that's kind of what it does. It's super fluffy and powdery when you touch it, but I guess it's very sharp little crystals, and when these bugs walk through it, it kind of puts a scratch in their exoskeleton and they end up drying out. It does not harm your worms. I mean, I wouldn't dump it directly on your worms, but like mixed in the bin, it's fine. They won't dry out. They're fine. It's more of the bugs that have like a hard exoskeleton that are at risk with the diatomaceous earth. So I should have pulled this out first, but I keep a little cup with the diatomaceous earth in it, and a little bit goes a long way, and I have been trying to figure out a way to do this a little bit better, but you really do not need a thick layer at all. I mean, a dusting is more than enough. So I just do this, kind of sprinkle it across the top, and if it gets on your watermelon, that's fine too, because it will just add some nutrients, like I said, to your bin. And this way, when some of these bugs, like the springtails and all, get attracted to this cardboard and they walk up to the surface here, they're met with the diatomaceous earth. And then they crawl off and they end up drying out. So that is how I use it in my bins. Not super effective. However, I found it effective with ants before. If you see ants coming into your house and you leave a little diatomaceous earth near their entry point, it works really, really well. So definitely has benefits, but I don't consistently use it, and so it's kind of hard for me to say for sure how helpful it's been to me. But I did want to show you what I do, and this is what a lot of people have done, and people do swear by it. So that will be our update for today. We will come back next week for an update. You know, it's hard to say if it will even be helpful to us just because it looks even like our springtail population's going down, but it's always a good measure to have in place regardless if you're concerned about an overabundance of any sort of critters in your bin. So drop those comments below, like this video, subscribe if you'd like some more content from me, and I'll be back with you guys real soon for an update.